Hi everyone. I was thinking about the word healthy, and I started to think about what I had, and lots of us are kind of educated to believe as healthy. We know that there's sort of like a lot of overweight people in the UK and the world, and so there's a great focus on people losing weight. And educating people to be kind of calorie conscious, and think about what they're eating, educating, and also encouraging people to be more active, etc. From that perspective, so there's a lot of emphasis on that. But what if you have anorexia? What if you have an eating disorder? What if that's not right for you? And so I know that we're very much sort of educated in a certain way as to what healthy is, but I truly believe that you need to rip up that rule book and start again from scratch. And I was thinking about what healthy really is for somebody with an eating disorder, somebody with anorexia, bulimia. And basically, sort of like healthy foods are a balance and moderation. There's kind of like an eat well plate that we have over in the UK, and it shows sort of like a pie chart on a plate, and it has kind of gives some insight into what sort of portions, what of different sort of food groups that you should have, but they're all on there, even fats, even sugary foods. They're all different groups that are on there. And carbs, there's sort of like the amount of carbs that we should have in are the same as the fruit and veg, so they are important, balance and moderation. But obviously, because of if you've been restricting for a while, and if you are underweight, then there will be a need to kind of like have more, increase your kind of like daily allowance, your daily intake, to make up for the restriction that you've been kind of doing. Because basically, food, just increasing your fruit and veg is not gonna help. You're gonna need to eat more than that. So again, and the other thing is to not compare what other people are doing. I mean, yes, if you can sit in a sort of situation, a social situation where you're kind of like copying other people eating, and that's a sort of like a healthy thing for you if you're not there yet. But, as kind of guidelines on what other people are eating compared to you, because it's like you have different goals. So it's like, somebody who wants to be a maths professor and as somebody who wants to be a vet, studying the same, same lessons and studying the same subjects and doing the same thing. There's different goals. So you need to bear that in mind, and don't get triggered by other people either. Just focus on what's right for you. The word healthy itself, always, I used to hate that word, and God forbid anybody that would dare to call me healthy, because I always assumed it meant that I looked fat. But now I like to look at the word sort of healthy and kind of think of it as being strong and being positive. Weight. Never wanted to increase my weight, never wanted to gain weight. But what is weight? It's just one measurement of ourselves, and weight is just gravity at the end of the day. But it's also, it measures, it sort of, it refers to something's importance and something's value. So if it's important to us, we give weight to it. So there's different ways that you can look at it. But maybe it's about kind of, we've been so focused on using this as measuring ourselves, our weight, but maybe it's about using another measurement. So say happiness or contentment or positivity, and measure that and see how that feels, and then look to increase that. Recovery. I didn't like the word recovery because it always meant just simply putting on weight. And there were a lot of fears around recovery for me. I remember being in residential and I was asked to draw a pie chart based on what my life looked like. And sort of like the majority of this pie chart was around my eating disorder and the behaviours that I was using, etc., all the thoughts and everything that went into my head. But now I kind of think of recovery as, that pie chart, but it being filled with lots of different things. It means about actually enjoying my life, being able to sort of have a full life with lots of things going in it, and not being fearful of kind of trying different things, etc. So that for me is what recovery is about, and getting rid of that voice in your head. Big, the word big. Didn't want to be big. But who determines what is big? Who gets to say what is big? How do we know if we are big? Because let's face it, our BMI, again, is a measurement, and that just takes into account our height and our weight. That's just two measurements of us. Clothing. You go into different stores and you'll come out with different size clothes. So what is true there? Mirrors. They're not always great. We don't always see what's real in front of us. Photos. They don't always tell the truth either. I remember getting somebody to draw around me once, kind of like lining paper. Somebody drew around me, and as I got off and I turned around, because the outline, because it wasn't me, I was kind of like detached from it. It wasn't, I didn't associate it with being me. I actually could then see the true me. And yes, again, it's just one measurement. But I think if you're not, because you can look around and everybody else looks fine to you. Nobody else looks particularly big or, but it's just this whole thing that we have against ourselves, and we don't see ourselves the way other people see us, the way that we truly are. And again, that's to do with our negative mindset and how we feel about ourselves, but that can be altered. So maybe you could have a look and get somebody to draw around you, and it might just help you change your way of thinking. And just finally, looking at a few other words. Food. What is food? A lot of guilt, a lot of shame around food. But food is fuel, and it's essential to nourish your body and your mind. That's all it is. Calories. But calories are just energy. And again, essential for a strong mind and body. Fat. We associate fat with so many different things, but what is it actually, fat, in its basic sense? It's an essential part of your daily intake of fuel, and it's also an essential part of your body. And for women, it's around to have a healthy body, you're supposed to have around 20% fat within your body. So it's not like it has to be non-existent. It is an essential part of you. So rather than neglect and need to banish it from our diets, from our bodies, it's actually an essential part, and it will help you think better. So that's just eight things for you to think about. Think about how you define them, how these words kind of like show up for you, and maybe see if you can come up with a way of changing them to fit and that would suit you better in order to progress with your recovery. And I know recovery itself is scary, but at the end of it, it's not scary at all. From the place that you are right now, it might feel like it's the most scariest thing in the world, and I totally get that. But when you come through the other end, you look back and you go, oh my gosh, I am so relieved. I am so happy. I am so glad that I'm not in that place now. But the thing is you need to get through to that other place before you can feel those things, before you can see that. But it is possible, it is achievable, and you can do it. And I know it's very easy to go, oh, but that applies to everybody else but me. I know, I was one of those people, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I just wanted to let you know. And also, if you ever want to chat, ever want to get in touch, drop me an email, send me a message, whatever. Be always glad to hear from you. And if I can help you at all, then I definitely will try. Okay, lots of love. Have a great day. Bye.